They said you were the best in the parsec.
Welcome to
Parsec Passion, a podcast about Disney, Star Wars, TV shows. My name's Bubba, and with me, as always, is my evil twin, who we thought was dead. It's Catfish.
Oh, Bubba, I'm gonna kill you, but good.
Wait, what? Come on, you're my twin. You're with me, and I'm with you.
Always one, but born as two.
As above sits the stars, and below lies the sea.
I give you you, and you give me crap all the time for not paying attention to what's going on. And Bubba, I am ready to do the same. I know my role. I'm the friendly idiot, and I'm here to fulfill that role.
Guys, we're going to be talking about The Acolyte, the first 3 episodes of season 1. Let me say, I got to start with an apology. Here,
finally,
we're a podcast that covers the Star Wars TV shows on Disney Plus, and like now we're finally getting to The Acolyte, even though it's episode 3. Guys, there is something going on. The last 3 Disney Plus Star Wars series, Mando season 3, Ahsoka, and now The Acolyte. I've been out of the country at some point during all of them. It's like they see my vacation schedule and they go, you know what, that's a great time to release a new Star Wars show. So I apologize. I'm the reason this is so late. Blame me. I'm the Jedi who you're like, what caused that terrible thing of not having podcasts to happen? And I like look kind of shady and then go, it was May.
But Bubba, I'm still waiting for your apology.
Apology?
Yeah, you said you were going to apologize for not inviting me on these overseas vacations, and I'm still waiting.
Right. When I said I was going to apologize, I didn't give a time frame.
No, Bubba, they set these release dates very, very early. It seems to me like at a certain point, this is intentional.
Well,
on your part to snub.
No, there's no way. Like, I knew I was going to Copenhagen and Austria. I knew that, in January. I'm pretty sure they said the release date of this 2 months ago. So either way, listeners, we apologize. We haven't been here for the first week when we needed to be here, but we're going to.
Only you are apologizing, and once again, not enough.
This won't be edited at all. But let me say that, hey, we're going to make up for it with hopefully a very insightful, very fun podcast on The Acolyte. And before we even give you our ratings, normally at the top of every podcast, we give you our ratings on everything. This series is all about these twins, Osha and May, and how they were very close, but always butting heads. Boy, does that remind you of these podcast hosts. Mm-hmm. And so we thought, hey, let's start off with what team you're on through the first 3 episodes. Are you on Team Osha? Hey, I don't want to be trapped in this village without any other kids. My sister picks fights on me for no reason. She's mean to space butterflies. Get me off. I want to see the world. Or are you Team May? You know what? Hey, our mother loves us. This is the place we were raised. This is a beautiful place where we can be ourselves and don't have to conform to crazy rules that other people want to set for us. Are you Team May? Through 3 episodes, Catfish, what are you? Are you Team May? Team Osha? Team not involved.
I am definitely Team May. She is taking care of business. She has no hesitation. When she has any doubt, her first idea is destroy. Also, Bubba, she's a great problem solver. When she can't win, she can't win. She's like, I'm going to kill all these suckers. And one's got like a force shield. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to guilt him into killing himself. And it works, Bubba. It works. May is taking care of business.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Listeners, do you agree with Catfish through 3 episodes? Are you on the side of May, the twin who really has some anger issues, really,
when you did your introduction of the 2, you forgot to say, May, I love this place. I want to be with everybody. Let's burn it down.
You leave me scorched earth. Hell has no fury like a spurned twin. Okay, Fair enough. So once again, listeners, write us. Tell us if you're on YouTube, go down to the comments. Tell us if you're on Team A, Team Osha. If you're on social media, we are on the app formerly known as Twitter at PHQ. If you are on Instagram, PHQ. If you're on Threads, if you're on Facebook, search PHQ. We want to hear from you. We want you to choose a side. We know our other show we're podcasting about, House of the Dragon, wants you to choose a side. We want you to choose a side in these twins. Which side are you on?
So, Bubba, I'm going to ask you, what side are you on, Osha or May?
I thought it was an easy choice. Am I on Team Osha or Team May? I'm Team Yord. I'm part of the Yord Horde. This sounds ridiculous. Yord is
Horde.
The Yord Horde. This guy, people who listen to our cover of Andor know that I was kind of Cyril crazy. I was Cyril's #1 fan. And what was the first thing we learned about Cyril? He did his uniform special. He added piping to his uniform. This guy was crazy. Yord, literally, possibly the second scene he's in, admittedly not the first, but the second scene he's in, he is steaming his Jedi robe so there are no wrinkles. Yord, I'm on your side. I'm part of the Yord Horde. How preposterous, how ridiculous. And I say that, but I want to get to it, and we'll get to it more because we're going to break down all these characters. Yord is this stickler by the book, but more than half the times, if they just did what Yord said, the Jedi would be in a much better position. He's like, here, let's stun her. Let's do this. Hey, let's bring a lightsaber into this shop owner and chop off his hand and read his Jedi mind trick. They would be better off if they followed fashionista Yord. So hashtag Yord Horde. Let's go.
May, she's got a plan for her life. Osha's just kind of drifting. Right. She doesn't have a plan. May's got a great plan. Kill a bunch of suckers. And she's already halfway through.
No, listen. Osha's doing everything, she's doing everything that you wouldn't want to do in your life. She dropped out of college. She's, working a dead-end job, not going too well for Osha.
Drifting around the galaxy.
Right.
How did that whole plan work out for her? Yeah. Leave the witch brew. See the galaxy.
Yes, right. Leave the witch brew to see the galaxy. Then leave the Jedi to not see the galaxy. Instead, work in this crappy job for the Trade Federation. Okay, so
all right, Bubba. I'm going to get right to it.
Let's get to it.
I'm going to do my ratings for the first 3 episodes. And Bubba,
whoa. Yeah.
I know that we said we're just going to cover the first 3 episodes, but I thought there was such a difference between episodes 1 and 2 and episode 3 that I have to give it 2 different rankings. One for episode 2 and one for episode 1 and 2, one for episode 3. So for the first 2 episodes, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10, what I like to call either double Ys or double H's.
Man, this is a mouthful. I am going to go with, sure. What do these letters mean there, Catfish?
Well, double Y's, of course, is for Yummylicious Yord.
Oh, there you go, Yord Horde.
And double H is for horrifying himbos, because that's what Yord is. He's just a himbo. He's a good-looking dude who, I completely disagree with you, does not have good ideas. At every turn, he's like, you know what? It feels like the other character is there, Daphne Keene.
Yep.
Daphne.
Jecki.
She's there just to say to Yord, once again, Yord, bad idea. All right, so here are
8
my
out of 10.
positives
8 out of 10
for the first 2 episodes.
Let's hear it.
I feel like up to, excepting like Andor and Rogue One, both by Tony Gilroy, that Star Wars is a very sort of black hat, white hat world, right? Like in a Western.
Yeah.
And it's not in Rogue One and Andor where we see some of the good guys doing questionable things, some of the people who are with the bad guys, not so bad. Actually, it wasn't really a whitening of the black hats, more of just a blackening of the white hats. The bad guys were still pretty bad, but the good guys were also bad.
Okay.
And I feel like this is a kind of more realistic world. It's more nuanced. And what I was really digging in the first few episodes was the idea that was implied that the Jedi's have done some bad things. It seemed in the first 2 episodes that the Jedis are responsible for it's heavily implied, but not stated, that the Jedis were responsible for this fire, and unless they saved people, they did something wrong. Yep. And, and also it shows that their standards are lacking. Anybody who would put Double H. Yeah, the hopeless himbo, again, Yord, in any position of power is also shows that they're not the sharpest. We had a new world, new people. You can tell almost any story. And the other positive to episode 1 was Carrie-Anne Moss was killed. So the negatives the negatives were that there was with the fight between May and our lead Jedi here. There was a weird cut from the fight. You don't cut in the middle of a fight when it's building up to watch May kind of like running over there. Like, that was weird. And the end of episode 2, for any normal / casual fan, it makes it seem like this is like a what moment, when for me it was a what moment.
Oh yeah. No, I get that.
All right, so episode 3, I got to give it 5.5 out of 10 double M's.
Wait, double M's?
Yeah, Malevolent Maze.
Man.
Unless I misinterpreted, and I could have, because that is my job here on this podcast.
Yes.
We find out that things kind of are black and white, that the Jedis didn't have anything to do with it, and May is one of the most psychotic kids we've ever seen without really understanding why she got that way. Okay?
Yeah. May was starring in Drew Barrymore's Firestarter. What's going on?
I mean, I was just cray-cray. Now listen.
Yes.
Is she better than Little Leda? Yes, of course. But it's not a high bar to cross. Now, the positive from this episode was, again, we're in a completely different... So far, we've had everyone in Star Wars is like, the Force. It's the Force. Yep. And finally, we have a different group that identifies kind of that spirit in a completely different way. And that is super cool. That is really super cool. And I'm so excited that we have this. Oh, no, they're completely all dead now. Okay.
They could have just been resting.
Well, I mean, they are
Let's have a nap, a timeout on the...
Suffer a witch to burn. Burn him. Are there any women here? All right, Bubba. So that was my rating, long-winded ratings for the first 2 episodes, and then the 3rd episode, where I was sort of then kind of disappointed.
Well, Catfish, I love it because, hey, everybody's opinion is important. We love to say, who cares what we think? Listeners, we want to know what you think, and certainly give us your feedback on what you thought. But what I love about it is I was the exact opposite way of you. Oh, in that the first 2 episodes, there was so much good in them, but I couldn't connect with them. It was like my favorite thing in these first 2 was that fight between May and Indara. I'm not normally, I don't watch a lot of what you would call Hong Kong movies, fighting movies like this. But I saw that and I thought Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it was a great fight. And I was so into it. And then for me, even though so much happened in that first episode, I mean, we had a Jedi killed at the beginning. Then we had a person arrested. Then we had a prison break. Wait a minute, they're twins. Then Saul says he believes Osha after going to capture her. Like, so much happened. But for whatever reason, the odd pace of the first episode, I couldn't connect with.
I agree.
And the second pace kind of had a similar odd pace. This 3rd episode was ridiculously slow. But I was intrigued. I was so intrigued. I still think the Jedi did something wrong. May is not innocent in any way. May started a fire. May did a lot of negative things. But I wouldn't be surprised, and we'll get to this later in the podcast. I mean, why were the Jedi there? Maybe I'll get to this right at the beginning, even though we're going to have a part later in the podcast about theories and stuff. If this is a dangerous cult, and they are a dangerous cult, you saw what they did to the Jedi Padawan, where they took over his whole body and brain and turned his eyes pitch black. They are a dangerous cult. But if they're on a planet that's not part of the Republic, they're off on their own. Theoretically, they're not doing anything illegal yet.
Okay.
Now, admittedly, training children in the Force apparently is against the law. But again, you would think you would kind of just leave them alone. But the Jedi are there. The Jedi were spying on them, spying on the kids right at the beginning. And so I was very intrigued. And so even though this third episode was not perfect, I was very intrigued. So this is a long way of saying that I am going to give these first three as a whole, I'm going to go ahead and give it 8 out of 10 double J's.
Double J's?
Yes. Jedi jerk-offs. Why are you following kids, spying on kids in the woods? This is Saul. I love Saul. I think this actor, who in a lot of ways, it's kind of being reported that he learned English to do this role. I think he's giving a great performance. We all know him from Squid Game. These Jedi, they are not going to be squeaky clean. Torbin didn't, take suicide juice because he thought what they did, whatever happened with this fire way back then, he was completely innocent of. So episode 3 really got me intrigued. I'm going 8 out of 10.
Okay. Let me say a couple things. First of all, I completely agree with you about the pacing for episodes 1 and 2. There was a lot of weird cutting that interrupted momentum. It's like, it's kind of like when you're reading a book that has a lot of different point of views, and it just cuts too quick between them, so you never get to kind of gather momentum. I agree with you on that. However, I think if we're going to spend an entire episode on that past, it'd be nice to kind of not hold off the whole thing.
Right.
But that's a story decision.
Right. It is a story decision. And I think you're right. It's almost, they almost left too much up to what exactly happened. And I know we're going to see more of it, or, I suspect, I haven't seen any more episodes than these 3. I suspect we're going to see more of it. And I could see how somebody could say, well, the third episode, relying on all the emotional kind of payoff on it on very young actors who I think did a pretty good job, but that's a really tough gig to lay on young actors to be like, you're the emotional core of this whole show. And so I can see people having trouble with episode 3, but for whatever reason, I was just so intrigued. And let's be honest, any show that kills off traitor brother Tommen, that's a 10 out of 10. So the fact that I struck 2 points from it is pretty good.
Well, this is why episodes 1 and 2 got a high rating for me once again. Carrie-Anne Moss. We had to. That's why episode 3 got a lower rank for me too, because I thought she was dead and then she came back. So that was disappointing.
It's just like that. Hey, I mentioned traitor brother Tommen because we have not had a podcast between Catfish and I since April. So that's a good full 2 months. And so you've been thinking life has been peaceful, life has been happy, there's been, birds singing, bees buzzing. And now we're going to ruin that because we are about to have a deluge of podcasts coming at you for the rest of the year 2024. Later on, within 5 days, our original podcast feed, the Joffrey podcast, is going to start back up with our coverage of House of the Dragon Season 2. Catfish, are you ready?
No.
Right, we are not ready, but that's going to start up. You're going to be getting that in your podcast feeds on the YouTube page, everywhere you get great podcasts. The Joffrey podcast covering House of the Dragon Season 2. Get ready. Then, in less than 2 weeks, a show that I'm still positive, the only English language podcast group on.
Yes.
It's Babylon Berlin coming back to Season 4. This has been available almost 2 years ago in the rest of the world. It's finally in the United States and Canada. Our good buddy Double M Matt Murdick, who will be in this podcast later, giving a little musical breakdown on the Acolyte. He's going to be joining us for a new series of Babylon Berlin Babble podcast. If you like twisty noir craziness in a foreign language, to English and German, please check this
involving
out.
all kinds of internecine special history about politics, which you may not even know about. And even though we've lost our favorite guy, the hero of the Bruno Walter, the hero of Babylon Berlin, has passed. And yet somehow they'll continue.
Somehow.
I mean, Game of Thrones continue without Joffrey, and in the same vein. Bubba, is that it? Aren't we doing?
No, well,
what about The Boys?
The Boys is starting When the day this podcast releases, The Boys is going to have new episodes. But guess what, Catfish?
What?
We made a terrible mistake many years ago to not podcast on The Boys, and we are not joining in the fray, sadly, here, even though it's coming back with season 4, which is going to be great. We know our good buddies on Daily DVR, they cover The Bear. That's about to have season 3. People love that show. But after we have this deluge of podcasts in June of 2024, carrying through, we're going to be back coming real strong with Let's Solve Only Murders in the Building season 4, which starts in August. The same week it starts in August, our podcast partners, Double M and Priscilla, are going to be breaking down The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power season 2. In September, Murder Detective Catfish will be back on the case. He did so well with Magpie Murders. We're going to be covering the sequel, Let's Solve Moonflower Murders. And somehow, yes, there's going to be another Star Wars TV show released late in 2024. I don't have a plane ticket yet purchased in November or December of 2024, but somehow something will pull me away. So we'll be late to get a podcast out about Skeleton Crew. Oh my goodness.
Bubba, are you sure you want me to do the Moonflower Murders? I feel like I spoiled that podcast by knowing the murderer from the very time that the murder was revealed.
Right. And the final episode, when the murder was revealed, you figured out it was them probably 10 minutes later. Okay. Once again, listeners, if you listen to our silliness, we apologize for not joining until now. But because we got so much to go through, we're not going to break it down a storyline so much. We're going to break down characters and then have some of our silly discussions afterwards. So, Catfish, we have already broken down May and Osha. Let's get to this actor, and I'm going to mispronounce his name. I apologize. Lee Jung-jae from Squid Game. Everybody in the world knows he plays the character Saul. What do you think about Jedi Saul, the one who seems to be, who, like all of them, he kind of has some regrets in his past. You know, he has some craziness in his past. From what we can tell, he really does care about Osha. So any thoughts on this actor, this role, this character? What do you think about Saul?
Yeah, he seems like a good, the kind of good moral center of this show. Mm-hmm. I kind of did appreciate him right away accepting May was still alive and believing.
Yes.
I did not want to go through like 2 episodes of everybody realizing that was great. Even Green Woman was like, oh, okay, I agree with you now.
If you say so, yeah.
I thought he was good. It doesn't surprise me that you say he learned English for this role, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't exactly sure. If he didn't actually learn English, he just was saying it phonetically.
Right.
There's no knock on him. If I was doing it in a different language right now, I wouldn't have time to learn it. I'm just saying it does interfere with his character a little bit.
A little bit, but I think, Catfish, you're exactly right. It is no knock to him. His portrayal is what he does non-verbally is great. You know, the fact that you can tell he sometimes struggles with the language. To me, it just makes the character almost more charming, more endearing. I kind of like him more because he's, you know, he has the way he speaks. And so I'm a really, really big fan of his. I think one thing that is interesting is it's possible his very first line, because he's teaching a bunch of youngling Jedis there at the Jedi Temple. I believe his very first line is, "Don't trust your eyes. Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them." Right? Like that's the very first thing he says that we as the audience hear him say. And yet the big thing later when people say, "Wait, she had a twin," and he goes, "No, she's dead. I saw her die." And it's almost like, dude, do you remember what you just told the younglings? You know, your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. And yet he's like, no, I saw her die. She's dead.
I think you'd be more upset with his character because he stole your opening line with the ladies.
Let's hear that.
Yeah, don't trust your eyes. Your eyes can deceive you.
Not going to be any editing in this whatsoever.
All right,
yeah,
Bubba.
You're definitely Team May. Guess what? You didn't have to tell us. You've just revealed yourself as Team May. Stabbing me. I need my Torbin shield up so you can't stab me. Listeners, what do you think about Saul? I think Catfish, I believe you said it this way, he is kind of the heart of the series. He's great.
Yeah.
Let's get to, Not Long for This World. Trinity, a.k.a. Indara, the Jedi who dies in the opening scene. What are your thoughts on her, if any, or did she just, die real good? What are your thoughts on Catfish?
I mean, I was sort of joking, but I was happy when she died. I like her in the Matrix movies, but I found her off-putting in everything else. In fact, there's some Norwegian murder show called Wisting that is available, and I saw she was in the first season, and I went through about half an hour, and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm just going to jump right to season 2. Whoa. I just have my own personal, just not enjoying her alive and enjoying her getting killed.
Oh my goodness.
What about you?
Gosh. Well, Carrie-Anne Moss, the first time I'm pretty sure I saw her, well, I didn't know which was released first, the first Matrix film, or what I always think of her in that is in Memento. If you know Christopher Nolan's, one of his early films, Memento, she was so wonderfully evil in Memento that even though she was a hero in the Matrix, she's kicking ass. All I can ever think about, spoiler alert for Memento, 20-year-old film, is that she was wonderfully evil in that film. And I thought she was great at it. And so there's a part of me, all these Jedi, they must have done something shady that caused, that helped propel all these witches to die. And so I think Indara's still shady, in death shady. And so that's my thought on Indara.
Love it.
All right, Daphne Keane. We all love her in the Wolverine movies, and we loved her. Matt M really loved her in His Dark Materials on HBO. She plays a half alien, half human Jedi Padawan called Jecki. What are your thoughts on Daphne Keane? So far, she wasn't in too much of the episodes, but any thoughts on her, this alien Padawan, Catfish?
She's not in too much. I'd like to see her a little bit more. I mean, right now, her bits are just funny because she's always checking Yord, which I'm really digging.
Yes.
She's like, oh, you're so beautiful to look at, but there's nothing going on upstairs, Yord.
How could you? Well, Catfish, guess what? That's exactly why I like Jecki too. Like literally, she has one, it's like the classic meme, you had one job. Jecki's one job seemingly has nothing to do with the Jedi Order or the Jedi Oath or Code. It's, let's put this buffoon Yord in his place. I love it. Okay, now let's get to...
boil each one of her lines. The stage direction is turn to Yorn, and then her line is, how about no?
Terrible. How could you? All right, so we've got to follow up that. How do you feel about our boy Yord? You don't sound like you're in the Yord horde. What do you think of this actor's portrayal? I believe his name is Charlie Bartlett. He was in one of the Leslie Headland's other shows, Russian Doll. Any thoughts on good old Yord, Catfish?
He feels a little modern to me, a little bit
that's
more.
A good call.
And so I'm not quite sure they're completely in on the joke. Is he supposed to be just completely comic relief? Is this the kind of guy that doesn't get kicked out of the Jedi Academy?
Yeah.
I'm a little iffy on him right now. Again, I love the comic relief, but I'm just a little iffy on him because he feels a little bit modern to me. It was like the last Avatar movie. The kids felt like surfer dudes from the 70s. I'm not getting that full feel from him, but it's a touch modern.
And let me say, that's, the modernness, no. But everything else, that's why I'm on the Yord horde. He is comedy gold. He's awkward gold. He's like, apparently he spent a lot of time practicing him standing up and making sure his robes fell the right way when he came to arrest Osha in episode 1. The actor did. And so I think, that's a brilliant thing to hear. I'm on the Yord horde.
Even when he bows, it seems like he's going to stick up his ass.
Right. I love it. Cyril and Yord Hell yeah. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Thank you, George Lucas. He hasn't been in it much, but I'm trying to go through. We have now Kelnacca, the Wookiee, who's part of this squad. He's got kind of a shaved head and a faux hawk. He is after.
No, he's got a top knot.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, but he does have his sides shaved. So
right. But he's got the top knot. And again, I'm gonna ask you. Okay. I'm just going to assume that one of two things happened. One, Kelnacca's got some sort of past history in the Star Wars universe, or they were very confused thinking that the end of episode 2 was the way to end an episode. So which is it?
No, I think that's a great call. No, Kelnacca is completely new. He hasn't been in any side comics or stories before this. This is him. I think the thought is that, hey, Star Wars fans love Wookiees. Let's stick him in. And I was trying to think, listeners, keep me honest that I've got this right. Obviously, Chewbacca was the very first Wookiee we saw in a Star Wars movie. Then the next Wookiees we saw were Catfish's favorite, Chewbacca's dad, Lumpy, his son, Itchy, and his wife, Mala, I believe, in the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special. We had Wookiees in the third movie, Revenge of the Sith, where they're on a Wookiee planet fighting the clone soldiers. We had I really thought he was one of the best things in the Book of Boba Fett. We had Black Krrsantan.
Black Krrsantan
He was great.
Best.
He was great.
Black Krrsantan.
Kelnacca the Wookiee has had nothing to do yet other than kind of look cool. So any possible thoughts so far through 3 episodes on our good buddy Kelnacca?
I mean, also his attitude seems to be like, I don't deal with kids. Osha shows up and he's like, I'm not even gonna give you a little and a head nod.
No, he was doing the classic Law and Order. The cops come, and yet I'm still gonna, load this truck with crates. And so he's like, kids coming. I still gotta
picking up the garbage, and I saw a shoe. I don't know why I'm being a mechanic right now because I was picking up the garbage, but that's what I was doing.
All right, let's get to somebody who really hasn't had much time on the show. We know him much more from our coverage of Game of Thrones. We keep comically calling him Traitor Brother Tommen, but it's Jedi Torbin. I'll go first on this one. Let me say, I respect any Star Wars character with male pattern baldness like I've got. So, it's 16 years. Torbin lost a lot of hair there. So I respect that. I also respect anybody who's like, you know what? Everybody else is douche. I'm going to go into I'm going to chill out and put up a force field so I don't have to deal with other people. Love that.
Right. How many years did they say he'd been doing
it? A decade, it sounded like. Whoa. You know what?
I mean, there's a guy who is really checked out. And what? They got to have somebody come in and massage his muscles so they don't atrophy. Someone's got to enter in his bedpan, which is like sloppy because it's falling like 5 feet.
No, listen to me.
All right. Let's assume he's regulating his bodily needs.
Please.
But still, yes, he was checked out. And like you said, he is sort of deeply apologetic, even though he was the first one to get blasted with mind control when they went into the coven. He feels bad.
Once again, that was proof that these witches, even though, they seem nice enough to themselves, when you take mind control of my Jedi and you turn his eyes black, I'm positive Torbin was back there doing something, maybe possibly from Indara, maybe on his own, that caused some trouble. And in the scene at the end of episode 3, where little girl Osha is with Saul and he's like, do you want to be a Jedi? You'll be my Padawan, all this stuff. There's one shot, it's very quick. But in the background, you do see Indara and Torbin back there, and there is something on Torbin's face. So whatever, how something was messed up in his eye when we saw him in the future, I think he probably lost an eye in this fire. So Torbin is fascinating to me. Once again, he lost so much hair in 16 years. It reminds me of this short story that I'm going to tell, Catfish. I'm going to go off. I'm going to leave the subject of the Acolyte for 1 second to tell this short story. Uh-huh. So I am on Goodreads. If anybody wants to follow me on Goodreads, my handle is FitandTrim, FITTENTRIM, at FitandTrim on Goodreads. Mm-hmm. And this, stranger that I don't think I knew sent a friend request to me on Goodreads. And I thought, they must have read one of my reviews or something. So I just accept it. Then the next day I get like a DM on Goodreads, like a message on Goodreads from this person. And I open it up And you know what the message said? It wasn't like, oh, you like this book? I love this book. What the message said was, are you bald? You're going to love it. It gets even better. And so then I said, well, I've kind of always had a big forehead. Like when I was a kid, when I was like 14, a girl who was like 13 was trying to pick me up by saying, I like guys with big foreheads. Honest to God, that's a true story. But anyway, so this stranger says, are you bald to me? And so I write back in Goodreads and I go, well,
Why, step back. Why are you engaging?
I don't know. It was such an odd question. So I wrote back and I go, well, I've got male pattern baldness, but I'm not bald now. Give me 10 years. So I said that. I said, give me 10 years. And they wrote back and said, I'll give you 2. Like, what is going on? So for that, I am on Team Torbin. Heck yeah. Whatever you did, I know you felt guilt, but it's fine, buddy. It's completely fine.
Oh, my God. Amazing.
Incredible.
That is amazing.
Does that make you like Torbin more?
No, it makes me like the person who sent you that DM more.
Oh, I was waiting for you to reveal it was you son of a...
It's not me. It's not me. But that person has now taken over May as my favorite.
How terrible. Okay.
A random DMer. All right, and then we've got Vernestra Rwoh.
Yep, Vernestra Rwoh is how they say it. And yeah, sure.
And Bubba, I see in your notes what you've written here. I agree with you, so I'm gonna let you say it since I'm always the mean one.
Yeah, this character who is in the High Republic novels as a young kind of Padawan, actually Jedi, becomes a Jedi at a very early age. A lot of energy, a lot of spark. And so now this alien species that she is theoretically able to live long. So this is like 100 years later from the book she's appeared in. And they've turned this character into a green-skinned wooden exposition machine. Like Vernestra Rwoh is not in it much, but it's almost like she is like one of the exposition machines you would see in the old Mystery Science Theater 50s movies where it's like, this person committed murder. Go arrest them. That's right, Chief. You did a good job. Like, whoa, she has no life. And I feel bad for the actress having to, do these scenes and not being given anything like, hey, have a smile, have some fun, give some life to these lines. So I feel bad for Vernestra Rwoh.
You know what I would say is I would guess, and again, giving the benefit of the doubt, I would guess that some people have a harder time with the unreality that they're dealing with on set than others do. And so I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and saying she's having a hard time because she is having a hard time.
Oh, man. Well, let's jump to another character we just met here in episode 3.
Yeah.
It's the spiraling shape will make you go insane. It's Mother Aniseya. She, to me, once again, she does something that to me shows that she may not call it the Force, she may call it threads, but it shows me she uses the dark side of the Force when she takes Torbin. Like, what did Torbin do? He wasn't even talking. And she turned his eyes black, took mind control. To me, she's using the dark side of the Force. But I think this actress shows the warmth she has for these girls, the kind of the care she has for her community. So it's real kind of interesting to see somebody use dark side forces who is kind of warm and inviting like that. Catfish, any thoughts on Mother Aniseya?
And she is open to letting people take control of their lives. She's open. She's like, Osha, if you want to leave, go leave, even though you think she wouldn't, because they're all about the power. There's only 3 powers.
That's right. Yeah.
1, 2, and many. So
the power of 1, the power of 2. You know what? I can't just keep counting. The power of many.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Skip ahead. The power of many. Okay.
Et cetera, many.
She did a great job.
No, she was great. And again, like you said, she's got some depth to her character. Unlike, I'm going to go right to you refer to her as horny mother Koril. This is great. This actress, I've seen her in lots of things. She's actually originally like from Russia, but she's been doing stuff forever. She was in that TV show Revenge years and years ago. She was in this crazy one season spy show on Netflix called In From the Cold, where she had like superpowers. Like the most ridiculous thing that happens is like there's this crazy like wallpaper, and at one point she like camouflages herself by changing her body to the exact
cool.
No, it's ridiculous.
Oh, well,
it's a ridiculous show. But anyway, she is upset, and this is where we find out that she is the mama. We don't get any more information.
Right, she carried the children, right? Yeah.
Carried the children, so we don't know how they were made. This also just makes it more strange that like mother would be like, yeah, okay, we worked on this project for 14 years. No worries, Osha. You leave.
Well, I want to say about Mother Koril, I think she also did something. I keep mentioning that the Jedi must have done something they feel guilty about. But if you remember how it went down, is Mother Aniseya brings Osha aside and is like, you know what, let me talk to Osha. And then Mother Koril walks off with May. And then from what we've seen, the next chronological thing is May locking her sister in a room and starting a fire. So there's a part of me that thinks we're going to do a Rashomon and see Mother Koril give May some terrible advice. And I don't think Mother Koril is innocent either. And I think she's probably, if I was to guess who was the person who really caused the most trouble, it'd be Mother Koril and May 2, and then whatever the Jedi did 3. So that is my thoughts on Mother Koril. I think she's a good character because I kind of don't trust her.
Yeah.
That's all I can really think about.
All right. And then we have original Himbo from the Good Place.
Yes.
Qimir.
Oh man.
What do you think about him?
He's obviously completely evil. He is completely evil. He's funny though. Qimir is funny. This actor, Manny Genesis, I'm going to mispronounce his last name. Yeah, he is great. He is a great actor. He has great comic timing. He isn't even given what I would call A material, but he still kind of got me to chuckle a couple times. But that said, he is completely evil. The slight clue is May. At the end of episode 2, May comes back to him and is like, did you tell the Jedi I was here? You set me up. And she kind of attacks him with a knife. And he, it's such a quick little moment. You don't notice it, but you're like, well, how is this kind of guy who's theoretically hungover and drunk the first time we meet him, how is he able to evade May's knife so easily and kind of disarm her almost in 2 seconds? And so I think he's completely evil as a character, but that said, I think he's a great character. I think the show needs him more. I think he and May need more scenes together to almost enrich May. I love him. I think he's good.
And also he has a connection to the mysterious
the boss
teacher, the big person.
The big
All right,
bad.
Bubba, we are going to, now that we've covered the characters, we've got another segment that we're going to have here, and that is the Himbo move of the week. Now we're covering our boy Yord, and so I got 3 choices here.
All right,
one for each episode. So
episode
the 1, steaming his shirt half naked. And then bowing like he's got a rod up his butt.
Hey, now.
Episode 2, his idiot plan to confront Qimir. Episode 3, forgetting that he was supposed to go to set, so not being in the episode at all.
So wait a minute. Every Himbo move of the week involves Yord. You're not going to give me any other characters or options?
No, Yord is the Himbo.
There's
it's the most Himboist thing he does.
No.
All right,
I'm going to go off the board.
Okay,
OTB. Go off the board. The Himbo move for these first 3 episodes, the Himbo of the week, is somebody who is the sexiest, and that is male pattern baldness 16 years later, Torbin. He is a Himbo. Look at him just hanging there, showing the ladies all his stuff, letting the ladies stare at him, trying to make a move on him, and he's just hanging out. I'm giving it to Torbin.
You know what?
Yeah.
Even though I established this and I picked the 3 things, I've got to concede you're exactly correct. He hasn't done a lick of work in a decade.
Wait a minute. Yeah, in a decade, right? But 60
he just
years
sits there
ago,
and lets people look at him. You are completely right. It is the Himbo move of the decade.
Hold on. Torbin, 16 years ago, he went up to a little girl and took her blood without asking. Well...
That would make him the white van driver of the week.
Wait, no, not Torbin.
All right, Bubba. So let's hear your theories. We got a few different theories. The first one is, do we have any theory about who the big boss is, who's running May?
Yeah, no, great question.
And who killed the witches and why? In other words, who turned... Can't start a fire without a spark. May's got a spark. But who lit the fire?
Even if we're killing in the dark. All right. I love your first question. Who is the teacher? Who is the big bad who's put May on this path? Who says, hey, kill a Jedi without a weapon, all this stuff. Again, I'm going to be completely honest so everybody can laugh at me. Before the series began, once again, because of Memento, I thought it could be a switcheroo and Indara could be the big bad.
Ooh.
If she's the big bad, she decided to go out, like, I want to turn somebody to the dark side, even if it kills me, And so that was my thought before it, because I thought, well, what would be a good twist? And once again, I remember Memento, Carrie-Anne Moss. After the first 2 episodes, I thought, well, is it Qimir? Is he pulling one of these things? Because when Saul reads May's mind, he's like, wow, your master doesn't even let you know who they are. And I thought, well, that could be a good way to kind of test her, is she knows me as the helmeted evil person, but then how can I really find out what she really thinks and really does while also talk to her as this drunk Qimir? So that also is a thought of who the big bad could be. And then in this episode, it would seem weird, but if once again, Mother Koril is possibly as evil and as negative as she comes across, there's a chance she survives the fire. The only person who survived with her is this child that she carried, May, and she's turning May into this. Well, that's
without May knowing it, right? Because May does not know who it is.
Right, that would be a trick.
So it would seem weird for Koril to do it because she already knew May, and it doesn't seem like she need to use any subterfuge. So let me ask you this.
Sure.
Do you think instead of someone we met on this show, that it's someone that pre-exists in the Star Wars universe? They like to tie everything together.
They sure do. Well, let's get to that real quick, Catfish. In the infamous Revenge of the Sith Squid Lake opera scene, which I always mention as I think the best scene of 2 people talking in a Star Wars film entirely. It's Palpatine talking to Anakin, and he's trying to turn Anakin to the dark side. And he's telling this story of how we later can deduce his master, learned to bring people back from the dead. If you kind of do the math, well, you're like, well, it couldn't be that guy, Darth Plagueis. Well, it couldn't be Darth Plagueis unless Darth Plagueis is an alien who lives hundreds of years, because this show is about 100 years before the Phantom Menace, and you think, well, if whoever trained evil Emperor Palpatine, he would have been probably 10 or 20 years older than Palpatine. He wouldn't be 100 years, once again, unless he's a crazy alien. So there are, there's Darth Tenebrous. There are, if you go to like a Wikipedia page, you can hear, well, okay, Plagueis was before Palpatine, and then Tenebrous was before him. You can see these things. But I just have a feeling it has to be, a lot of these shows, I don't want to spoil the great movie LA Confidential if people haven't seen it, but the reveal of the big bad in that is a great reveal. And so to me, I think it has to be somebody. It has to be somebody we know for it to be great and for it to be a payoff. So of these options, to me, I've gone with either Qimir or evil Mother Koril. Any thoughts on your end of who the big bad is?
I really don't think that we've met enough, unless...
Yeah, that's true.
Unless, what if it is awesomely Kelnacca?
That would be awesome. Like the whole time as a Jedi, he's just, but then he puts on the mask and talks to her. Listen, you got to take care of the Jedi. Peace is a lie.
Listen, if you have not been listening to our Murder Mystery podcast,
yes,
that's the kind of quality guessing that you get from Catfish all the time. All right, Bubba. So who killed the witches and why?
Well, throughout this podcast...
I'll start first.
Yeah,
let me start first. There's some things that you mentioned. We have the Jedi snooping. The Jedi seem to think there's some sort of like superior. Only we can deal with the Force because only we're good enough to know how to, do the dark side, to avoid the dark side.
Yep.
The witches have already said they had to hide from people.
That's
right. You're trying to set it up as this big accident that May started it, and then some other stuff happened, and then maybe somebody spilled a bunch of wildfire, and things got out of control.
Sure.
I don't want it to be a mistake. Let's not make this a mistake.
Okay.
Right? So who would it be if it wasn't a mistake? Someone was really like, we got to root this stuff out. Is it going to be Wooden Green Exposition Woman?
Whoa, that would be awesome. I don't see how they could do it. Based on Vernestra Rwoh's established characteristics in the other High Republic novels and comics and stuff. But let me go a bit further.
Okay.
And so I mentioned that Mother Aniseya pulls Osha aside and says, well, if you really want to be a Jedi, you can. And she allows Mother Koril to walk off with May. I wouldn't be surprised if Mother Koril is like, listen, your mother's soft. She's letting your sister leave. We can't let that happen. Your sister can't leave. And so Mother Koril is planting an evil idea in May's head. Then what I think is, what if the Jedi are like, can sense, because we know they have special, powers where they can sense evil. They're like, wait a minute, something's bad's going to happen. The Jedi come to the temple, and then it's one of these things of like Koril does something, tries to do the black eye trick on Torbin again or somebody. And then the Jedi start fighting back, start thinking, okay, these people are really evil. And then the Jedi kill all of them because Koril was so evil. Like Koril does evil stuff. I mean, they weren't, those bodies on the ground of all the witches, they didn't look burned. Like they could have died of smoke, of lack of oxygen, but it wasn't because their bodies had been burned. Something killed them that had nothing to do with that. And so okay. I know that comes across a bit as an accident, but I think it's more like Mother Koril in her internal anger kind of created a scenario which caused a devastation.
Okay. If that's so, then I still don't see why the Jedi would feel bad. They sensed evil. They battled evil. Why would it be so bad that one of them would be in stasis for 10 years, would wake up and look in the mirror and say, I have to drink this potion because too much of my hair is gone?
What? She said it was minoxidil, and he's like, okay, let's try it. No, what I'm saying is that you're right. The scenario I described doesn't fully get you to the point. But what if, once again, Mother Koril does something so evil, but it's really just her, and then the Jedi kind of think, okay, they're all evil. And as you're fighting and killing these people, you kill a bunch of them, and then you realize, oh, wait a minute. It was really only that one was, shooting a blaster at us or trying to turn our eyes black.
And then they start a fire to cover up all the evidence.
Right. Or more likely, then they say,
all burn bodies.
Right. No, it was May. That kids, I don't know what's wrong with these kids today.
All right, Bubba.
Sure.
Here's something else we're going to do every week. This is your idea. We're calling this May's Hit List. Which Jedi would you kill this week, Bubba? And what person in real life would you kill? All right, Bubba, let's hear it. Which Jedi would you kill this week?
So this week, this is really a nitpick.
Oh, okay.
This is really like, we're doing the first 3 episodes, right?
Right.
It's really a nitpick, but I'm having a class. One of my students is saying, oh my God, I see fire, everybody dying. And they're most likely saying that because they're reading my mind, reading the horror that happened to me 16 years ago in the past. And so I would kill that kid. No, I am kidding. I'd kill Vernestra Rwoh because I think that would be shocking. And I think that would end her, kind of dry exposition.
Put her out of her misery. It's funny. I'm glad you said that because the first thing, I wasn't thinking about that fire that the master was thinking it. I was thinking, this is one of the kids we need to weed out.
No, I think the
thinking
kid,
about fire and destruction. Like that's
Right.
like sending. You got to send a note home with the mom at least. I mean,
Yeah.
let's not teach this guy how to interact with the Force. I didn't realize that he was reading the mind. I was just like, whoa.
Let's get him to lunch. Lunch, kids. Lunch.
Put him with the Bad Batch. All right.
Do you have a Jedi who would kill after these first 3 episodes?
I'm gonna kill Kelnacca. It's just the top knot. He's gotta go. He's too hip for his own damn good. He's like the Matthew McConaughey of Wookiees.
There are other options you could go from episode 2. The Jedi who don't know how to lock a door, don't know how to close a skylight. I mean, people are breaking into our temple. Big deal. They should be on May's hit list.
We're too worried about the 6-year-old kids.
Right. We got this kid. A person I would kill in real life. This is absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But my Amazon Fire Stick recently died. And it died right before The Boys started. And why is that so terrible? I don't pay for Amazon Prime. I use somebody else's account to watch The Boys. And so now I don't have it. So the person in real life who would go on May's hit list for me this week, Jeff Bezos. How about you, Catfish? Do you have a person you would put on May's hit list in real life?
In real life? I do.
Oh, no.
Now, look, I think I don't think I can actually say it because the person's not in office, but running for office. But I still think it might be a little tricky. I'm just going to say I have someone in mind.
Man, you really must hate RFK Jr.
No, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. You hated the VP pick. Oh, how could you? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so listeners, hopefully you see these are lighthearted, tongue-in-cheeks. We want to know who you have on May's hit list. Once again, you can go on YouTube. Go down on YouTube. Leave us the comments. If you're on social media, we are on so many social medias. I forget them all, to be completely honest. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook. I think we're on more. I think I signed up when Elon started really going nuts. I think I signed up for a couple others. I'm like, yeah. But anyway, find us and let us know who you would put on May's hit list this week. I love it. Catfish, let's get to our good buddy, Double M.
Double M.
Matt Murdick, who is our musical expert, who's going to talk this week about the score in The Acolyte, the first 2 episodes, some of the French horns you heard, and how it kind of can play with some of those classic Star Wars themes.
Oh, so we have the quintuple M.
Wait, quintuple M?
Yeah, Matt Murdick's Acolyte musical analysis.
One of the things that I absolutely love about this particular show is its time setting. One of the things that we can do now, unlike Andor, which is kind of almost through composed, this one can present themes, but it can't really present too many themes associated with the Skywalker saga. And I really heard nothing to that effect. And that's appropriate. Michael Abels has done a lot of great stuff, though, that feels like Star Wars. He uses the right timbres, clusters of French horns. Like in that first fight within Indara and May, you hear lots of things like this in the French horns. These are the types of swells and everything that John Williams used so effectively well. You couple that with timpanis pounding, you couple that with flurrying strings, and you have the Star Wars sound. So he knows what he's doing. But in terms of thematic material, he really has to stay away from that Star Wars saga because a lot of that stuff is associated with the Skywalkers themselves. You might be able to say, oh, the Force theme could probably be a universal thing. Yeah, possibly. But so far in the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte, they've chosen to stay away from that. There is, however, at least one motif that has appeared regularly throughout both episodes, and they're most predominantly heard during the title card sequence, so I'm assuming that this is the main theme motive, and that sounds like this. In both episodes, as the title card comes up, those are the notes that you hear. Interestingly enough, not unlike what was done with Andor, so far it's been dressed up harmonically or timbrally slightly different with each episode, and I love that. The chords are slightly different, and they are kind of aharmonic, so I'm not really going to break them down. They're just meant to create tension, and in both times that happens, but they are different types of chords, and they almost make the key center sound a little bit different with each one, even though those exact same notes are played. And you can hear allusions to this particular motive throughout both of the episodes. One that I will point out to you is specifically at the beginning, really, as May walks by the bar. There is a slight variation in it, but it creates the same kind of effect, and it actually starts with the same first two notes. That one sounds like this. Because it kind of almost strays between two different keys there, you don't really notice how similar it is to this. They may even be part of the same melody, just two different parts, and we haven't been able to put it together with a full theme yet. I'm not quite going to say that, but I do love how all of these similar type of motives can lead us back to whatever this main full theme comes out to be from Michael Abels. And that's all I've got for this time around. By the way, I really dug the episodes. I like them. I don't know if you did, but I like them. Let's get back to Bubba and Catfish.
Oh, wow. Matt, smart as always.
Thank you, Matt. You deserve every single one of those M's.
And guess what? We're going to get to your feedback, listeners. We say it all the time. Who cares what we think? What's important is what you think. And so write to us and let us know your thoughts on these first 3 episodes. And Matt Murdick, our musical expert, he wanted to get in and give us his feedback. He said...
we've heard enough. Oh, sorry. Yes, let's hear.
He said, so isn't killing a Jedi without a weapon essentially what Palpatine is doing? He's making a group known as heroes look bad. He killed the belief in the Jedi, almost the purpose of the Jedi. May doesn't need to, quote unquote, kill our Acolyte group of Jedi. Well, she's killed 2 of them so far. She needs to expose them. Ooh, that is a great idea, Matt. Is that how you imagine season 1 could end? Is that, I have a hard time seeing them killing a Wookiee, but maybe they will kill a Wookiee, and then it's going to be down to Saul, and that will be heartbreaking. So you don't necessarily kill Saul, you expose this kind of mistake that he made in the past. I love that idea.
How you said you don't necessarily kill Saul.
Well,
you still could.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. If theoretically these are the 4 Jedi on May's hit list.
Right.
And Saul, we both kind of agree, is or at least one of the hearts of the show. If this show is going dark, they could kill Saul, right? I mean...
Man, I hope not, because that means more of Yord.
Vernestra. wait, Yord? Okay, kill Saul. Get him.
Oh, no. All right, our buddy Elias Sideways says, I've been a bit of a negative Nancy with recent Star Wars shows, but to my delight, I really enjoyed The Acolyte. The cast is fun. I love Yord, and Qimir is just pure Manny Jacinto. Elias Sideways is a himbo lover.
What? Elias, join us. Come on, we're going to go down to get on some True Religion jeans, and we're going to,
let our sideburns grow long.
We're going to do it. A true double L.
Double L.
A loyal listener, Camille, at Harley Camille on Twitter. She is great, and she really has liked The Acolyte so far, Catfish. She gives it 9 quadruple M's.
Oh, yeah, quadruple. Wait, what? Quadruple M's?
Mystifying mystery, master of May.
Ooh.
Who is May's master? Ooh, she says, I am invested. I enjoyed meeting the characters so far, but I hope they don't kill the Jedi Wookiee. Ooh, man. Catfish.
Harley Camille. I should have read Harley's comments before starting this podcast. Harley's coming right for me now because I took care
Catfish,
of
you made the list.
All right, and another good loyal listener, Link Hogthrob at Matt's Test Lab 1 says triple T's.
Wait, triple T's?
Troublesome twin travails. Triple R's.
Wait, triple R's?
Rue runs roughshod.
Oh,
double
man,
S's.
That's Rue, yeah. Double S's.
Squid Games Saul.
Oh, man. Pretty good, pretty good. And what I love about the triple R's, he says Rue runs roughshod. You know, this actress who plays both Osha and May was Little Rue in, I believe, the second Hunger Games film all those years ago. Wow, they grow up so fast. Unless, of course, they're Jedi younglings around Anakin, then they don't grow up so fast.
She is one of my, strangely, I would recommend highly, entertaining movies that I think you would enjoy, Bubba. It's called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Oh, yes. I've heard great things about that. And you're saying she's in it?
Very entertaining movie that she is in.
Wow. All right, listeners, we have not said it enough, but we've said it a few times. We care about your feedback. Who cares what we think? We want to know what you think. We have all these social medias really just to interact with you guys and hear your brilliant thoughts. Tell us what you thought about this third episode, episode 3, and tell us what you expect for the rest of the series. Do you have great theories? Certainly better than ours. Who do you think is May's master? That is a great question that we want to know your thoughts at. My name's Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at FitandTrim and Goodreads if you want to comment on my hairline. It's FITTENTRIM at FitandTrim on Twitter, Goodreads, Instagram.
I am GEETOTHEMAN, G to the man.
Whoa.
That is on both Instagram and Blue Sky.
Oh, I forgot about Blue Sky. That's great.
Yeah. Did you forget about Blue Sky?
Never forget Blue Sky.
Come on. Holy cow. Well, you will hear us. We're going to be covering episode 4. Oh my God, in its entirety. Can you believe that, Bubba? We're going to spend our
I can't believe it's a Yord flashback. I'm so ready for episode 4.
Oh my God. Episode 4. I don't know what the title is right now, but you will hear us next week on
Arsic Passion.
I found the wolf.